Hello and welcome to All Things Seniors. This is your host, Rafiq. With over 20 years of caregiving experience, on this channel, I empower other caregivers one episode at a time. So today, we're going to talk about 5 myths about seniors. In our lives, we have been in a way living in a society where there are a lot of not good perceptions of seniors. And unfortunately, sometimes if somebody is driving too slow, and you would hear people say, "Oh, this must be an old grandma driving," like totally unnecessary. That could be anybody. That could be somebody who just likes to drive slow, or somebody who is enjoying a time off listening to songs, right? Like, because of these myths, it becomes perception. It becomes something which becomes part of our vocabulary. And I thought that the viewers of my channel are educated people. These are caring people. They have this love for their loved ones, being caregivers. And we talking about these myths, then this becomes part of our vocabulary, that no, that's not true, right? And then we talk to our friends and family and neighbors in that tone, and slowly and gradually it is our way of style, way of conversation, that we don't believe in those myths. So let's talk about those 5 very briefly, and I would love to hear if you have something more to add. In that case, share in the comments, right? So let's start with number 1. So the very first myth is that seniors cannot learn anything new, especially if it is something to do with technology. They are dinosaurs. They were from an age where there was no technology at all, and there is no point even talking to them about that. And that cannot be further from true. I agree that most seniors do not use technology, but believing that they cannot learn is false. I'll give you an example from my household. Like, my mom is totally into technology, and my dad is not. They're from the same age group, from same era, same schooling, same change from like the boomer's life to the technological world. And today my mom has embraced all sorts of technology. She has an iPad which she uses for her Zoom calls with her friends around the world. Like, she has joined some social groups on Facebook and on WhatsApp, where they talk about common topics, like whether that is sewing or knitting or some drama series which she really enjoys. And she finds those groups, and now whether they're faith-based groups or social groups, she has found connections in from Portugal to UK. Living in Canada, she has made friends in other provinces and cities. And I really admire her, that how she has embraced technology using her iPad. She has a phone. She has 3 different wireless headphones, so that one is connected with her iPad, one is with her phone, and one is with her Apple TV. And she uses all of that every day. So on one hand, I see this, and on the other hand, my dad, who, not that he cannot learn, it's just that he does not want to. So the extent of his use of technology is when a phone rings, he receives the call, or he would send a text. But using Zoom, using anything like search, that's not his thing. He has finally started using YouTube, which gives him some content, right? He doesn't get bored now because of the use of YouTube. But what I'm saying is that I see 2 different, literally polar opposites of people who either want to learn or don't want to learn. It's not about whether they can learn or not. And I believe, and I think this is something we need to keep an eye on, that is it because they don't want to learn, or is it they can't? Because if it is they don't want to, I want to leave you with a tip. A lot of grandparents, they are always looking for ways to connect with their grandkids. So rather than you trying to teach mom how to use WhatsApp, ask your daughter, like mom's grandkid, ask your daughter to say, "Hey, would you mind spending some time with grandma to get her well versed with WhatsApp?" I'm telling you, grandma will be all ears. She will say, yeah, I want to do this with my granddaughter, because she's looking for a point of connection with the grandkids. So try that, but definitely myth busting. It's not that seniors cannot learn. All right, myth number 2. A lot of times people feel that if somebody is a senior living by themselves, they must be lonely, or they must be feeling isolated. And that's not true. That is correct that some people are, because of the the way life has treated them, because of maybe their mobility challenges or family lives away. They have their reasons. Maybe they have lost some of those friends now, and that is sad. But that does not mean that all seniors are socially isolated or lonely. That's not the case. And I think not only we need to acknowledge the fact that there are seniors who have good social life, whether it is through their church life or within their apartment or condominium, they are part of the social committee or social group or play games or do common cooking, whatever, right? If they have a good life, it is because of the environment around them. And we need to ask ourselves that if we see a senior who does not have a social life, who is isolated, who lives by themselves and not engaged that much, why? And whatever those factors are, we need to circumvent those factors. If there is a senior who has lost a couple of his or her friends with whom they used to have gardening or sewing or movie nights, whatever that is, we need to help them find either another hobby or a couple of other friends. And that could well be through a church group, that could well be through a library group, that could well be through an intergenerational activity. It does not necessarily have to be with the same age people. Like, I'll give you an example that my dad would not watch movies. Like, he's not into that, but he would end up watching a movie if we are watching a movie with his granddaughters. He is crazy about spending time with granddaughters, and granddaughters in their own busy lives sometimes are always in rush. They are busy, they have their own thing, they have their school camps and all those things, and they don't have time as often as they would like to spend time with grandparents. But the day when they have time to, for example, let's watch a family movie, my dad, who is not a movie person, he's the first guy to snore, will end up watching movie with grandkids because it's the connection that he wants. So find those ways how we can provide those seniors who are living an isolated life. But in general, to say all seniors are socially isolated is a total myth. All right, our next myth is about the fact that if somebody is a senior or an older adult, physical decline or being weak is guaranteed. And that's not true. And I'll tell you, we sometimes feel that because we see all seniors reach that point at one point in life. And we associate that one point in life that all seniors become weak. But what is that point in time? What is that point in life? For some, that could come in their 90s. And if they get retired at 65, assuming that within few years, like say 70, 75, they will become weak, is unfair. Yeah, we all will one day become weak, and maybe not, right? If we have the right diet, right exercise regime, maybe not. But yeah, most people do at a time. But all seniors, everybody in their 70s or 80s becoming weak, that may not be true. I'm telling you, that's not true. Like, I'll give you a couple of examples. Like, my trainer, he says that physical strength, like strength training, muscle building, is something which can help seniors be active and mobile and strong and less risk of fall, all those things for a long period of time. Now, what has happened that for many years in our society, we have not emphasized on strength building. We have not emphasized on muscular training. We believe that, okay, if somebody is just walking, that's good enough. But there is more and more research that if it is just walking, you may need to supplement that with some strength training as well, because that will then allow you to have a good posture and allow you to be strong, physically strong for a long time. And there are so many research and scientific studies going on these days. My only ask is that we don't assume that everybody who is in their 70s just become weak, because that's not true. I go to a gym where there are some older adults who lift weights like that is nobody's business. I'm telling you, I cannot even lift half of it while I'm half their age. It's not because they're older, because they have been constantly taking care of their muscles and their strength, they are able to do it. It's about being able to, because you have been doing it. It's not about because one day you just become 70 and a flick of a switch and now you become weak, and that's not true. So we just need to focus on If you see signs of weakness in an older adult, ask why it is happening, not assume that it's because of their age. And if it is happening because of the lack of activity, we need to introduce that activity back into life so that they again feel back to normal. If you're liking the content, like the episode, subscribe to the channel. YouTube will then show it to more caregivers. We can help more people. It definitely helps the channel. Thank you. And the last point I want to make is there is another myth that if somebody becomes a senior or an older adult and retired, they all of a sudden become a burden on the society or a burden on the family. That is absolutely not true. Yeah, you may see some older adults who may not have done good financial planning and they end up relying on the wider family resources. But hey, you know what? There are some people in their mid 30s and 40s are also sometimes in that boat. And children are always in that boat, right? So feeling that somebody becomes a burden on the family is not true only because of their age. We need to find that what older adults do to contribute to our society, and that is a lot. I'll give you a couple of examples. For example, in my family, my dad would support our family because he likes to iron the clothes. So he'll take care of, for example, my clothes that needs ironing. He'll take care of the dishes. My mom will cook food because they like to contribute in our household activities. The smallest things, sometimes done in a right way, have a huge impact. Like my father giving me blessings when I'm leaving the house is his contribution into my quality of life and my peace. And I have seen so many older adults doing voluntary services in libraries, hospitals. I was in Canadian Blood Services office a few weeks back, and there were so many older adults who are now in their retired life, but they would do some voluntary work at that office. And you talk to them, they are lively, they're upbeat, they are the pillars of our community in terms of the work they do. You go to any board for a not-for-profit and there are older adults doing a lot of work in the background. So they are not a burden. If you see somebody feel like that, then we need to ask ourselves a question: what's going on? How we can change that? How we can include them more? How we can have that conversation to provide them with that purpose? Because just like you, they used to be us. They used to be contributing to the day in, day out of the life. And if something has changed, how do we bring that factor back rather than assuming that they are a burden now? So this was it. I really hope that it helps us maybe change, if we were not thinking in this direction, to change our perspective and our vocabulary. And then we take this back to our friends and family and network of people. If we see somebody having those myths, then we have that dialogue. So slowly and gradually, we caregivers will need to have that dialogue. It is our responsibility. I hope you enjoyed it. In the end, as we always say, a rested caregiver is a better caregiver. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now. Ciao.